Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose, and I'm here to quickly preview the next 10 days' most impactful aspects with you. The dates January 20 through the 29th here cover Decan 3 of 36 this year. This is the first 10 days of the sun's transit in the land of Aquarius. So for every decan, there's a corresponding numbered, suited card from the tarot deck. This 10-day segment of the year corresponds to the Five of Swords. Aquarius is an air sign. Swords in tarot cover air element symbolism. And air element symbolism has to do with the intellect and how we use it, mostly to tackle problems, make plans, and to communicate with others. The Five of Swords then speaks to a way of being that is ambitious beyond all consideration. In this case, it would appear we have discovered a powerful mode of interacting with other people that allows us to come out feeling victorious every time. And it's fun to win. It is exhilarating to know you can always outsmart the next person or overcome the next obstacle. It's even kind of fun to when we see someone sort of underestimating our massive intellectual capabilities, and we get to sneak in the verbal jab and see the look of surprise dawn upon their faces. Unfortunately, we don't make a lot of friends when we're in this frame of mind, okay? Regardless of how brilliant you may feel in the moment, we always have and always will rely on other people for certain kinds of support and cooperation as we move through life. We may find that by being the person who's impossible to compete with, then we have trouble when we seek out the collaborations we need to make progress. This public service announcement is brought to you by the Sun in Aquarius and the Five of Swords. Eventually, no one will want to play with the sore winner, okay? So it's just something to think about as we begin the Sun's transit here. When the Sun is in Aquarius, we can become impatient with old ways of doing things that are breaking down or that no longer seem to work. We seek to innovate, to move beyond the cultural and material and ideological boundaries that define us. In fact, we can be really idealistic, and sometimes subscribing to a higher ideal lends us this feeling of superiority. Understand that the broader perspective isn't necessarily better. It simply encompasses more. The idea is to be inclusive, and inclusive doesn't shut other people down or give them reasons not to work with us. So with that in mind, let's have a preview of the next 10 days, shall we? We enter the third decan of 2023 on Friday, January 20th here. The moon is still in Capricorn, but the sun makes ingress to Aquarius early that morning. Shout outs to Leo, Cancer, Capricorn, and Aquarius. We may feel a distinct shift where we want to sort of zoom out and take things in from a bigger perspective. Perhaps our interest will be drawn to some scientific or technological advancement that helps us do more with less. In any case, Capricorn and Aquarius's ruler is Saturn. And Saturn is here in the land of Aquarius now with the sun, lending strength and stability as we seek to go bigger with our plans than we may have originally intended. Mercury revisits its quincunx to Mars on this day as well. Gemini and Virgo, Aries and Scorpio. Both planets are moving direct now, both retracing ground we've already been over twice. Our sense of initiative is coming back to us. The pace at which we can take care of business is speeding up, but maintain some situational awareness, okay? Go with the flow. Sometimes we rush to get ahead, feeling that we're super efficient and capable of more than life is giving us in the moment. And then sometimes, after getting way ahead, we find we have to go back and redo some of the stuff we pre-did, which in the long run just slows us down and creates more work. On Saturday the 21st, moon goes void, of course, for 2.5 hours before crossing over into Aquarius, Cancer, Capricorn, and Aquarius. With the sun and moon both in Aquarius at this time, we notice a clear influence on our thinking and the way we talk to others. It's natural to feel very idealistic and inclusive at this time. Let's try to remember not to use it as an excuse to alienate people who don't agree with our broadening perspective. Additionally, today represents the lunar midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox and the beginning of our midwinter observances. Those who follow European traditions may call it Imbolc or the Day of St. Bridget. There is a lot more to say about it than I want to spend time on right now, but what I want to get across here is a couple of things. First, that it's the outside beginning of spring. The seasons overlap one another to a certain extent. So while we are in the middle of winter, the sun is already spending a lot more time in the sky than it did just 3 weeks ago. The cold days are interspersed with warmer, more spring-like days. This is the time when we plan our gardens and begin to gather the resources to plant them. So in general, we celebrate the sun's increased influence and are certain knowing that the earth is still fertile. We have survived another winter to sow, to grow, and to reap again the resources we require to keep going. And I don't know how other people do it, but generally there's a gap on the calendar between lunar and solar observances of the solstices, equinoxes, and midpoints, which this is a midpoint. I generally start my celebration when the first one happens and end it with the second one. Sometimes we get 2 or 3 days to celebrate. This time it'll be closer to 2 weeks since the solar midpoint arises on February 2. It's a good time to do a pre-spring cleaning in our homes, especially if the weather is good and we can air out the house. Rearrange things again for a more active time of year, restack the firewood and restock the kitchen. It's also a good time to be getting back in touch with the people we like and trust, our co-conspirators in growth and abundance. The asterisks here represent the days I'll be observing lunar Imbolc in one way or another. So you can see there's plenty of time to set ourselves up to get through the end of winter and to celebrate the fact that we will soon be delivered into the heart of springtime. That afternoon, sun is conjunct to the moon, Leo and Cancer. This means they occupy the same place in the sky from our perspective. Since the sun is on the other side of the moon from us, the moon appears completely dark at this time, and this is what we call the new moon. It's the time in our creative cycle where introspection is easiest. A moment to pause and consider our core truth in the present moment. And as we do, we shift gears from the release of all things that no longer serve to the gathering and embodiment of those things that do serve a purpose in helping us reach our highest aims. Sunday, the 22nd, Venus completes a conjunct to Saturn here, Taurus and Libra, Capricorn, and Aquarius. This may give us cause to cool off a little in our relationships. We can stand back from certain commitments and investments and give them a critical eye. Only those connections that feel more stable and supportive are likely to keep our attention at this time. Also that day, Uranus goes direct. Aquarius, Taurus, and Libra. Uranus has been retrograde in Taurus for at least 4 months. Uranus isn't a personal planet. It's more like a member of our management team, and its job is to help us notice and navigate the changes that come along, especially those revelations that broaden our perspective and make the world seem like a bigger place than it was before. While Uranus was retrograde, it was basically backtracking over the changes we've been through and helping us assimilate them into our regular way of being. Now that it's direct, it lends us encouragement to remain flexible and open to new information and perspectives. And maybe just this simple reminder, change is the only constant. Keeping that in mind, we move on to Monday the 23rd. Moon goes void of course early that morning for 7.5 hours before making ingress to Pisces, Cancer, Sagittarius, and Pisces. With the sun in Aquarius and moon and waxing moon in Pisces, we can probably see ourselves making the kind of assessments that allow us to tie up loose ends, write the closing narrative on some things. This kind of stuff too can be included in our creative goals for the month. Pisces is a great vibe for the moon in planning mode because we get to be imaginative and we can have faith in ourselves. Tuesday on the 24th, Sun is sextile Jupiter, Leo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. This is a very positive vibe where we feel both lucky and generous. Growth and good fortune are collaborating in a positive way with our work, social, and civic lives here. It's a good day to make an investment or take a risk. Then on Wednesday the 25th, we get that quarter-lit waxing crescent moon that comes with an overall energy of cooperation and progress. That moon goes void, of course, for 2.5 hours in the late morning. Then it makes ingress to Aries. So Cancer, Aries, and Scorpio. Sun in Aquarius with the waxing moon in Aries is a time to take initiative on something that represents our highest ideals. Which is appropriate because the next day, Thursday the 26th, Venus leaves Aquarius and enters the land of Pisces. Taurus and Libra, Sagittarius and Pisces. Venus in Pisces opens us up to a broader, more inclusive and compassionate way of relating to those people, places, and things we value the most. With the Sun in Aquarius, I can really see a lot of us gaining some perspective in regards to our collective need for security. On the Friday the 27th, Mercury will be square to Chiron, Gemini, and Virgo. We may run into some disagreements in perspective. Not everyone has the same story to tell, even if it's about the same event. I think it's important to be open to different information and perspectives, but I also know that I know why I tell the story that I do about the world. My narrative doesn't have to change because someone else questions it. It's okay to disagree, but let's try at this time not to say some things we might regret. Remember the Five of Swords, friends. Being overly competitive can come back to bite us when we eventually look around for some assistance and maybe find that we've chased all our friends off, right? Also that day, Moon goes void, of course, for 3.5 hours during the afternoon and then makes ingress to Taurus. So Cancer, Taurus, and Libra. Sun in Aquarius and a waxing moon in Taurus. We seek to establish some secure means by which we can achieve these higher, broader, more inclusive goals. It's a good time to slow down and follow through, laying down the solid plans we will be acting to unfold for the next week. And I say that because the next day is Saturday the 28th and the sun is square to the moon, Leo and Cancer. This is how we get that half-lit first quarter moon. It's our signal to shift gears, no longer laying plans. We now take action to complete goals that we began setting with that new moon. So that a week from this day, when the full moon lights our skies, we will have something to feel accomplished about. The final day of the third decan is Sunday, January 29. Sun trines Mars that day, Leo and Aries and Scorpio. We have a lot of clarity of purpose, especially when it comes to what we're doing out in the world, and we find it very easy to take action. Initiative and momentum, drive, passion, zeal, even impatience are all on our side at this time like a big shiny green light. And what a beautiful time to get this green light too. The waxing gibbous moon goes void, of course, late in the evening. We're given a beautiful space for introspection and ritual in the middle of the night before the moon enters Gemini the next day, where it will conjunct Mars. Cancer, Gemini, and Virgo, Aries, and Scorpio. Once again, our energy will be up and we will be ready to take initiative or work with the momentum of the stuff that we already have in progress. And that is it for our third decan, friends. Dates January 20th through the 29th are chock full of good stuff to consider. Sun and Venus both make moves to broaden our perspective. We celebrate the middle part of winter and the anticipation of spring, and we have guidance to rise to our challenges with a sense of initiative, but with a warning that too driven an attitude, winning at all costs, will do us no good in the long run. Feel the excitement, seek to be more cooperative, less combative or competitive, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in today, friends. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, request notifications, and hey, share it with a friend. I post here every day and I so enjoy sharing this content with you. My love and gratitude go out to you all, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today.